Hey there, friend. Welcome back to another episode of Food Freedom. I am your host, Coach Mary. I am a food addiction recovery coach, and I am so glad that you are listening today. I want to have a real honest conversation with you. That's the only kind I like to have, and one that might make you feel a little called out today, but hopefully in the best way. Because today I want to talk about something that I see over and over again in this space. And by space, I mean, in the group that is looking for health and, peak nutrition and weight loss and building muscle and finding food freedom, like all of the things that encompass like where you spend your time online. This is a thing that I used to fall into myself. Okay. And it's that desire for a quick fix. The quick fix is not your friend. I know you want the healing to be fast. You want it to be easy. You maybe even want it to be painless. You say, oh, I know it's going to be hard, but you're hoping it's not, right? You want a solution that just works without too much struggle, without too many raw emotions, and definitely without all the discomfort. And guess what? Your eating disorder loves that. Because that quick fix mindset, that drive for fast results and for instant gratification comes from the same place your food addiction came from. The same part of your brain that's been trying to protect you by numbing out your pain, by avoiding feelings, and by keeping you safe from vulnerability. So let's talk about that for a second. Think about how many times in your life, I know for me it's thousands, how many times in your life you've turned to food to escape a feeling, to avoid sadness or loneliness or boredom or stress or any hard emotion. That desire to escape is hardwired into the addiction. And when you're in recovery, it shows up in new ways, like wanting fast results, like being frustrated when things don't go how you hoped. They're not going how you planned. It's not on your timeline. And things like thinking, if I just do it perfectly, this should be over by now. Does any of that sound familiar to you? It does to me. So yeah, that's your perfectionist voice talking. And if you've been around here for a while, that I always say that perfectionist voice is like a close cousin or a sibling to your eating disorder voice. Little Miss Perfectionist wants everything to go just so. She wants your healing to be tidy and efficient. She wants to check off milestones like it's a to-do list. She doesn't want to waste time, and she definitely doesn't want to feel like she's failing. But here's what I need you to hear. That's not what recovery looks like. Recovery is messy. It is not linear. It takes time, and it requires you to feel things you haven't let yourself feel in years. It requires you to do things. It requires you to grieve, to slow down, to learn how to sit in discomfort instead of running from it. It's not easy. Recovery is not easy. But I promise it's definitely worth it. I'm not saying this to discourage you. I'm saying it because I know what it's like to want that shortcut. I would probably 90% of the things that I attempted over my lifetime to, quote, get it together with my eating disorder was a shortcut of some sort. We want that shortcut to think that, if we could just find the right thing, the right plan, the right food list, the right, mindset hack, everything would just click into place and we'd never have to struggle again. But that's not reality. And healing doesn't come from perfection or speed. It comes from, drumroll, consistency, from, showing up for yourself, even when it's hard to show up. It comes from learning how to feel without numbing, learning to fill those real needs. We talk about that all the time. You got to fill the real needs. It comes from being honest about your emotions instead of stuffing them down with food. It comes from doing the work and not doing it alone. And that's why I talk so much about support, because whether it's through a coach, a community, or a trusted friend who really, truly does get it, you don't have to keep white knuckling your way through this process and on this path. You were never meant to do it alone. So if you're in a season where, everything feels slow, you're frustrated, or like you're not making progress fast enough, I want you to just take a deep breath. Remind yourself, this is what healing looks like. It is not a straight line. It's not a race. It's a process. And you're not behind. You're not failing. You're actually growing. You are learning your way forward. So as you move into the next phase of your recovery, whatever that is, maybe for some of you, it's just getting started. I want you to check in with yourself. Like, are you trying to rush it? Are you trying to bypass the messy middle, all the uncomfortable stuff, that you're avoiding? Are you hoping that you're going to feel better without actually feeling anything, without having to do anything hard? If so, it's okay. That's normal to want that. But the truth is, that's not going to work out for you. I want to encourage you to pause, ground yourself, and either, if you haven't started yet, commit to the process of doing the work, or recommit. If you've already been, bouncing around on this journey, recommit to the process of doing the work, the real process, the one that includes, grief and discomfort and being vulnerable, because eventually going through that will lead you to food freedom. It will give you a life of food sobriety and peace with food and your body. It's when you're pursuing a life of food sobriety every day, you have to be brave to do that work. It's not easy. And I just want you to know, I'm walking this path with you. I'm on my own journey. I just happen to be 11 years in, and maybe you're in year 1, or maybe you haven't even started, right? So you're not alone. I always say that because I want you to believe it. I think, people don't believe that when I say it, because, let's face it, addiction is isolating. We do feel alone, but the real truth is we're never alone. Thanks for spending this time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you would share it with someone who you think needs to hear it. If you want more support, you know where to find me, over at foodfreedomwithmary.com, or my Instagram, KetoMary71, same on Facebook. Until next time, be kind to yourself, be patient with this recovery process, and keep showing up for yourself even when it's hard. You've got this. If you're ready to take the next step in your recovery journey, I want you to go check out the show notes for ways to connect with me or work with me, and I will see you in the next episode.